Mom said it quietly, like handing down a sentence. Christmas is only for the well-behaved children. Yours can stay home. My daughter's hands went still around her sippy cup. Her bottom lip started to shake. Grandma doesn't like me, she whispered. Hi, I'm Stephanie Caldwell. I'm 31 years old. And in that exact second, something clicked into place inside me. If you punish my child to hurt me, you lose everything. I typed one message back. Understood. I'm canceling my card for tonight. Mom forwarded it to the family group chat within 30 seconds. Then her Instagram story went live, champagne glasses clinking, twinkling Christmas lights everywhere, everyone laughing. The caption read, Christmas with my real family. I turned off the lights in our small kitchen, pulled my daughter close to me. You don't have to earn love, baby, I whispered to her. If people forget that, they don't get to be near us anymore. They thought shaming me at Christmas would break me. Instead, they triggered the ending they'd been asking for. Before I keep going, tell me, where are you watching from? Drop your city, state, or country in the comments. I want to know who's hearing this story tonight. People imagine Christmas as this warm thing, soft music, families coming together naturally, everything just working out. But in my family, Christmas had a hierarchy. Some people glowed under the tree lights. Some people paid for those lights. I already knew which one I was. For years, December meant responsibility. I covered grocery gaps when Dad's disability check came up short. I quietly paid bills Mom forgot about. I bought gifts for my younger siblings that no one admitted they couldn't afford. Every quiet thank you became another unspoken obligation I was expected to meet. This pattern didn't just appear recently. Mom wielded guilt like it was part of the holiday decorations. Dad used silence as permission to let things slide. My younger brother Danny treated my debit card like it was a family tradition. By 25, my name was holding up every Christmas they posted about on social media. They praised my strength only when they needed something from me. When I needed anything, even just someone to listen, they vanished behind their carefully arranged Christmas photos and practiced smiles. I kept telling myself it was normal. That families lean on each other. That stress was just seasonal. But deep down, I knew the real truth. They leaned, and I held them up. They spent, and I paid. They celebrated, and I made it possible. When my daughter was born, I promised her something different. Her Christmases would be gentle, safe, completely free from manipulation disguised as love. But my mother didn't change. She just adapted her tactics. If she couldn't control me anymore, she'd go after my child, withholding approval, making her feel small, repeating the exact same pattern. Hearing my daughter whisper Grandma doesn't like me hit me harder than anything they'd ever done directly to me. I saw my own childhood reflected back at me, trying to earn softness, trying to earn space at the table, trying to earn the love that should have been freely given. That whisper told me everything I needed to know. What hurt her was familiar. It was the same wound being passed down, quietly and deliberately. And I realized something simple and sharp as glass. If I stayed silent now, my daughter would learn that silence equals love. I'd carried their pattern for 3 decades. But it was not touching her. Not anymore. I sat at my kitchen table that night. The house felt too quiet for Christmas week. My daughter slept in her room, her unicorn nightlight casting soft purple shadows on the wall. Notifications kept pulsing across my phone, photos, videos, my family laughing over Christmas cocktails at Romano's Italian steakhouse, posing beside a massive tree I'd helped pay for. I opened my banking app. No shaking hands. No hesitation. Just a quiet, sharp clarity I'd never felt before. I pulled up the transaction history first. Red flags everywhere. Charges I never approved. Fees nobody ever mentioned. Little leaks that had become rivers over the years. I scrolled slowly, naming each one in my mind. Naming things always removes their power. Then I started removing access. Mom's profile disappeared first. Then Danny's. Then Dad's. Each removal felt like cutting wires from a sinking ship before it could pull me under with it. I deleted every linked card tied to their addresses. I shut down the auto-pay arrangements they'd forgotten even existed. I cancelled the restaurant tab at Romano's they'd been using like an oxygen supply. I froze the emergency reimbursement line they treated like an endless fountain. Available balance for all of them, $0 and 0 cents. While I worked, the group chat kept buzzing with photos. Steaks. chocolate lava cakes, sparkling prosecco. Every swipe charged confidently to my card, or so they believed. 14 minutes later, the decline alerts started hitting their phones. Fast. Relentless. Stacking up like falling ornaments. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Miss Caldwell. A manager's voice, gentle but strained. Your family's card is declining repeatedly. They say you're on your way with another card. I stepped out onto our apartment balcony. Cool December air brushed against my shoulders. No, I said clearly. I'm not coming. And they're not authorized users anymore. A long pause. I could hear restaurant noise echoing faintly behind him. Then he exhaled slowly, like he'd finally understood the real situation. I see, he said. Thank you for clarifying that. Seconds after I hung up, the group chat absolutely exploded. What did you do? This isn't funny, Stephanie. Fix this right now. I didn't reply. For the first time in my entire life, I didn't run to clean up their chaos. Inside, my daughter stirred on the couch. A Disney movie was playing softly on the TV. She looked up at me, sleepy. Mommy? Are they mad at us? They're mad because they didn't expect consequences, I said gently. Are we in trouble? I kissed her forehead. No, sweetheart. We're completely safe. Then something shifted inside me. The shocking part wasn't their panic. It was my calm. I wasn't terrified. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't sprinting to rescue anyone. I felt a steady kind of freedom I hadn't tasted since I was a child myself, before I learned that love meant carrying everyone's weight. For the first time ever, their Christmas disaster wasn't becoming my responsibility. If your family did this to you, how would you respond? Drop a 1 if you'd stay quiet to keep the peace. Drop a 2 if you'd show up with receipts and let the consequences speak for themselves. The next call came 28 minutes later. Same restaurant manager. His voice sounded much tighter this time. Miss Caldwell, they're refusing to leave the premises. We need your authorization for the next step. I stood very still in my hallway. Christmas lights from our small tree blinked softly through the living room window, casting little red flashes across the wooden floor. I slipped on my coat, tucked my phone into my pocket, and walked out without rushing. I wasn't going to hurry for chaos I didn't create. 12 minutes later, I stepped into Romano's lobby. Warm air, clinking dishes, holiday garlands wrapped around every marble pillar. A perfect Christmas scene, until you reached my family's table in the back corner. They weren't sitting anymore. They were surrounded. Other guests whispering behind their hands. Phones recording under the chandeliers. My sister-in-law Ashley stood with her arms crossed, chin lifted like she was the victim of some terrible injustice. Danny was shouting at a young waiter who looked ready to walk off the job entirely. And my mother, mascara streaked down her cheeks, cloth napkin crushed in her fist, Christmas jewelry trembling on her wrist, looked like she'd been personally attacked by life itself. The moment she saw me, she grabbed my wrist. Hard. Stephanie. Stop this right now. Unfreeze the card. We are humiliated. Her voice shook with fury and entitlement mixed together. I kept mine perfectly steady. You humiliated yourselves when you told my daughter she wasn't good enough to come tonight. She blinked, genuinely stunned. Then that old tone came rushing back. You have to forgive us. Christmas is about forgiveness. I turned to the manager instead. You can run the charge through my account, I said calmly. But only for the food that's already been served. Not the champagne. Not the extra desserts. Not the add-ons they ordered after I said I wasn't coming. The manager nodded, visibly relieved to have clear direction. My sister-in-law gasped loudly. Danny cursed under his breath. Mom sputtered like she couldn't find oxygen. You don't get to decide that, she choked out. I looked her directly in the eyes. I already did. You don't keep privileges after you throw away people. She stepped backward like the words had physically pushed her. Beside her, a woman at another table mouthed the word good to me. The manager processed the bill. I signed it cleanly. No drama, no shaking hands, just a boundary landing exactly where it belonged. I turned to leave. Mom followed me into the hallway outside the restaurant, gripping her designer purse like a weapon. Stephanie, you're not serious about what you said earlier, right? You can't actually mean it. I faced her fully. Calm. Centered. I haven't even started yet. She froze completely, like she was recognizing me for the first time in her entire life. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. I stepped inside slowly, never breaking eye contact, letting the silence stretch between us like a canyon. Right before the doors slid closed, she whispered, "What are you going to do?" I didn't answer. Because there was nothing left to explain. Only proof left to deliver. That Christmas night, they didn't just lose access to a credit card. They lost the version of me who kept saving them from themselves. The next morning started before sunrise. My phone lit up non-stop with urgent notifications. Mom first. Then Danny. Then Dad. All suddenly desperate to talk. Funny how urgency only appears when their comfort disappears. I poured Cheerios for my daughter. Packed her backpack folder. Tied her light-up sneakers carefully. She hummed Jingle Bells softly, legs swinging against the kitchen chair. For the first time, the storm wasn't happening inside our home. At 10:14 a.m., my bank manager called. "Ms. Caldwell, your mother and brother are here at the branch demanding account access. We've informed them they're removed. They're not handling it well." I sipped my coffee slowly. "Tell them to contact legal. Not me." He paused. "I already did, At 11:02 a.m., Danny sent a photo to the group chat. Him, Mom, and Dad standing in the bank lobby looking like disappointed royalty. Message, "Fix this now." 2 years ago, that photo would have broken me completely. Today, it felt like an overdue bill finally getting paid. At 12:43 p.m., while heating up leftover spaghetti, another call came through. "Miss Caldwell? This is Patricia from Bridges Family Counseling. Your mother scheduled a mediation session and listed you as attending this Friday." I actually laughed out loud. They didn't ask me first. "Oh. They implied you'd agreed." "Then mark me as declining," I said firmly. "No further sessions." While rinsing the pan, the truth settled in clearly. They didn't want peace. They wanted access. They wanted the vault reopened so they could keep taking. At 3:17 p.m., a FaceTime request popped up. Aunt Linda filled the screen, looking concerned and serious. She launched straight in without even saying hello. "Sweetheart, your mother is absolutely hysterical. How could you do this at Christmas? How cruel can one person be?" I kept my voice completely level. "Aunt Linda, did they happen to mention they told my 3-year-old daughter that Christmas was only for well-behaved children?" Silence. "Did they mention she cried because she thought Grandma didn't love her? Did they mention they used my card for a $300 dinner they hid from me deliberately?" A small exhale. "No. They didn't mention any of that. Of course they didn't. They leave out all the context so they can keep control." I ended the call. Blocked her number too. At 5:51 p.m., Mom tried a completely new tactic. Video call. Holding my daughter's baby blanket, the soft yellow one with ducks on it, like some kind of emotional prop. "Families fight, honey," she said, voice breaking. "Money doesn't need to be involved in this. Just reverse everything and we'll talk." I stayed gentle but absolutely didn't bend. "You're only upset because I stopped funding your cruelty." I ended the call mid-sob. At 9:28 p.m., my legal advisor texted, "It's time." I sat at my kitchen island, documents glowing on my laptop screen, my daughter asleep under her pink nightlight down the hall. "All linked access and informal permissions are now legally dissolved," my attorney said calmly over speakerphone. "You're completely insulated. Do you want to file the final notice?" I looked at the cursor blinking on the screen. 31 years of history sitting right there. Then I clicked send. 1 second. And decades of unpaid emotional debt finally closed. Ending their access wasn't revenge. It was the first real repair I'd ever made for myself. Dad called the next morning. Not angry this time. Not commanding. Just tired. "Stephanie, your mother can't stop crying," he said quietly. "Danny feels humiliated in front of his wife. They feel betrayed by you." I watched steam rise from my tea mug. "I felt that way for 31 years, I replied. "You just never noticed it." He didn't argue. There was nothing left to manipulate me with. "I'm not cutting anyone out," I added softly. "I'm cutting myself free." Silence followed. The kind that finally tells the truth nobody wanted to say out loud. That afternoon, I drove my daughter to the Riverside Botanical Gardens. Cold air, bare branches, holiday lights wrapped carefully around every pathway. She held my hand tightly, jumping over puddles, laughing without any fear weighing her down. We split a small vanilla ice cream cone at 9:45 in the morning simply because we wanted to. No guilt. No conditions. No one to answer to. Just us. She stopped near a tree where a monarch butterfly was struggling to break free from its cocoon. "Look, Mommy," she whispered. "It's trying so hard." I felt something loosen in my chest. That was us, breaking patterns, leaving old rooms behind, choosing gentleness over guilt. That night, my phone buzzed one more time. Mom's message was simple: "We didn't realize how much you carried all these years. We'll figure our own things out now." I read it twice. Set the phone aside face down. Healing wasn't a sprint toward forgiveness. It was a boundary that actually held firm. And this time, the boundary held. Christmas didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt honest. It felt earned. My daughter crawled into my lap that evening, resting her head against my sweater. "Are we okay now, Mommy?" she asked quietly. "We're better," I said, stroking her hair. "We're finally better." I didn't lose a family that Christmas. I gained a future my daughter could actually trust. 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From Dad. It wasn't an apology exactly. It was more like an acknowledgement. He wrote that he'd been thinking a lot. That maybe I'd been right about some things. That he hoped one day we could talk, but he understood if I wasn't ready. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Maybe I'd respond someday. Maybe I wouldn't. The difference now was that I got to choose. Danny never reached out. Neither did Ashley. Mom sent one more message in February, a forwarded meme about forgiveness. I didn't open it. But here's what did happen. My daughter started preschool that January without any anxiety about whether she was good enough. She made friends easily. She laughed often. She never once asked if Grandma loved her anymore. I started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. I opened a savings account that only had my name on it. I said no to 3 different people in 3 different situations, and the world didn't end. Nobody died. Nothing collapsed. I learned that boundaries aren't walls meant to keep love out. They're doors that only open for people who know how to knock respectfully. On Christmas Eve the following year, my daughter and I baked cookies in our tiny kitchen. Just us. Flour everywhere. Bing Crosby playing on my phone. She decorated a gingerbread house with way too much frosting, and I didn't care even a little bit. "This is my favorite Christmas ever," she said, licking icing off her fingers. "Mine too, baby. Mine too." I didn't lose a family that December night at Romano's. I lost a version of myself that believed love meant disappearing so other people could shine. And I found something better, a life where my daughter will never have to earn her place at the table. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who's exhausted from carrying everyone else. Someone who needs permission to finally put the weight down. Because you don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not even family. Especially not family who mistakes your kindness for weakness. I'm Stephanie Caldwell. And I'm finally free.